think there's no such thing as digital transformation, to be my challenge back on that. I think it's transformation that's digitally enabled. One of the things I'm really keen to do is to try and get rid of the digital bit, and I think we just need to focus on the transformational work that we need to do, and then the underpinning digital bit that enables us to set.
So I think there's a lot around health innovation. There is a lot around transformation, digitisation of paper records, so this whole move from analogue to digital. So it can mean so many different things depending on your interests and your role. That's one.
I think they need to embrace it, I think is the first thing, and realise just what a powerful voice they have. I've always loved the tenaciousness of the digital nursing community and the midwifery community, and creating that sort of that connection between the digital side and the actual clinical side, and able to empower the voice of the clinicians, I think is really important. Digital hasn't always had the best sort of record of listening to the digital community and focusing on a user-centered design approach. And I think the digital nursing workforce is able to create that transition and translation between the two, and help us understand as digital people who maybe don't have a clinical background what these systems need to do, but also be the voice for advocacy for their actual colleagues who don't maybe have the digital knowledge that they do.
Yeah, great. And Sue picked up a really good point earlier around nurses and the respect level that they have across the country. So they're seen as being people who are respected and are honest with what they do. So I think it's really important that they drive forward some of that innovation that's needed. I think it's really important that they collaborate and work with digital teams and other leaders within the organisation to keep that tenacity going, to make sure that they can drive things forward, because quite often there will be a technical setback or there might be a cultural setback, and it's very easy to give in. But I think if you can keep at the forefront the change that you're trying to make for our patients or for our staff, and keep that going, that's the important part. Yeah, so I think it's a great education piece, because quite often it's that recap of things that you probably already know, but you're inspired by other stories. And I think that's a really good part of today, is to be inspired again by other people's stories, to get motivated again in some of those things that might have become really difficult and hard to do, but actually listening to what somebody else has managed to achieve just gives you that little bit of an edge to keep pushing forward. I think for some nursing leaders, it gives them the ability to see their next steps in their career path, to create that network and reach out to people so that they are constantly developing themselves and putting themselves into those right places.
How I follow that one, but I think I was just going to add that it's that sort of coming together as a community and being able to talk to others is really, really important in these spaces. I always think the networking part is the crucial bit of these events, because it allows you to connect with peers. The panels are really good to sort of get a broad understanding and maybe some insights, but then this is where the actual magic happens, where you bump into someone you might not have met before and you find out something, you make a connection, and they're the bits that really drive the change. Although I do think we should invite more non-digital people to these events. So talking about chief clinical nurses not liking CNIO titles earlier on, and maybe if we had a few of them here to understand what the digital nurse did and meet the digital nurse workforce, they might start to appreciate the differences between the roles.
I think for me it's really important to kind of talk through that collaboration piece, because as we said earlier, I'm fortunate to be in a large acute. We've got a really good clinical digital structure and really great governance, and we work well together, and not all organisations are in that same place. So I think being able to get that message across about how to get into your CIOs and some of your other digital leaders to be able to drive your ideas forward is really important, because people don't know how to do that. And if you're only doing, as they said earlier, with a mental health trust, one day a week as a CNIO, you need that support about where to go next, who to reach out to, because you just don't know that. So I think it's really important to be able to get those messages across. It's great to meet so many digital nursing leaders with such great passion. So I really enjoyed the days like this.
Anything to add?
I think I can echo that. I mean, the thing for me is I'm not in a trust on the front line these days, so I don't get that day-to-day connection with the clinical workforce. So I find these really important to have that engagement piece and actually be able to talk to people to understand the problems that are on the front line, because we can't get to every organisation and see everyone. So having these targeted events where we can actually get together really helps with that, because it just facilitates the conversation and brings everyone together, so it's a lot easier to see everyone.
For me, it would be that inspiration piece again. Things will get hard. Clinical safety issues are difficult to manage. the lack of staff, the lack of engagement sometimes, the cultural issues, it can all feel very hard sometimes. And I think events like this, if you can come away a bit more inspired again to keep going, that's absolutely worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, I think to add to that, mine would be that you're not on your own. There is a community out there. Always reach out to people. There will be someone out there who you can talk to support you. It talks about all the problems and the things and the difficulties we talk about, but you might feel like quite isolated dealing with them in your local organisations, but there is a massive community around who you can engage with.
Yeah, agreed.